So, I'm a pretty avid homebrewer, but I also happen to live in a one-bedroom apartment in New York City. And as my love of brewing beer has grown, so too has my collection of space-hogging equipment.
PicoBrew has been trying to solve this problem for some time now with a line of countertop brewing machines. It started with the Zymatic, a machine that streamlined and automated the brewing process, but it was still a little too complicated for beginners and could only be called countertop under the most generous of conditions. Next came the Pico, a much smaller, simpler system that could truly sit alongside your kitchen appliances. And honestly, it seemed to take quite a bit of inspiration from the Nespresso. While the device succeeded in many respects, it still failed to attract a mass market audience. Part of that was due to price. $800 is a lot to ask for a fairly limited brewing setup. But the company also thinks the Pico didn't go far enough in simplifying the process. Enter the Pico Model C. The C largely works the same. You order Pico packs, pre-packaged pods of grain and hops that you simply stick into the machine. A scanner inside reads an RFID tag, and it downloads the recipe, and you're ready to brew. The big differences here are in the materials and the new app. But we'll get to that a bit later. PicoBrew has ditched some of the more expensive bits like the stainless steel body and the large OLED display. That allowed the company to get the list price down to $549. Though, if you act quick, you can get it for just $279 through the company's Kickstarter at an early bird discount. The company has also abandoned some of the more complicated brewing paraphernalia. The traditional ball lock keg, which is pretty standard in the homebrewing world, has been replaced with a simpler fermenter that's more like a pressure cooker than anything else. Basically, it's a wide-mouthed stainless steel pot with a lid that latches on. Any confusion about which hose gets plugged in where is cleared up with some simple color coding. And instead of injecting CO2, you're encouraged to go the natural carbonation route. Basically just dumping sugar in the keg and waiting a couple of weeks. The app is another big selling point. While it doesn't really offer you much in the way of control over your brewing, it does make tracking things much simpler. Every step from ordering to serving is tackled in the app through simple tools and instructional videos. It can track temperature to let you know when your beer is done fermenting or carbonating, and it will even walk you through the process of transferring it from the fermentation pot to the serving keg. There are, of course, some restrictions to the Pico. For one, if you want to customize your recipe, you need to do that well ahead of time. While you can tweak grain bills and hop additions when building a personalized Pico pack, once you've locked in your recipe, there's very little you can do to change it from the machine. The simplification of the brewing process comes at some expense to flexibility. The other restriction is size. The Pico Model C only makes enough beer to fill a 5-liter mini keg, or slightly less than 1.5 gallons of beer. That's fine if you plan on drinking most of it yourself, but you won't be able to keep your 4th of July barbecue lubricated on homebrew alone. The Pico Model C is available now through Kickstarter, and it's expected to ship to backers sometime in the fall.